it's going to be a very short live session today, and actually I didn't make any notice about this. So this is more like a video recording, and I want to talk about something very specific this time. And in this case, it's uh, how to manage NiFi registry instances when you have multiple environments, especially when using Cloudera Public Cloud, CDP Public Cloud. So in this case, I have a very specific setup where I have one CDP Public Cloud environment, which is my development environment, and I have another environment, which is my production environment, PVI demo prod. In each environment, I obviously have my data lake, but I also have one single data hub cluster for NiFi. When you deploy a data hub cluster, you will have Cloudera Manager, Zookeeper, NiFi Registry, and NiFi instances. By default, when you deploy a data hub cluster, a single RDS instance using Postgres is going to be deployed. This instance is used by Cloudera Manager, but also NiFi Registry is configured by default to use this instance. And this is the same for each data hub cluster, regardless of using one single environment or multiple environments. And by default, the NiFi Registry will be configured to use the database as the, let's say, flow storage backend provider. So that's really what we have by default. And if you remember a very old blog post I published about NiFi Registry and how to promote flows between environments, this one, there are multiple, let's say, options when dealing with NiFi Registry and you want to promote flows from one environment to another. So this blog post is like more than 3 years old, and a lot of things changed over time, obviously, but it's still something good to keep in mind. So there is one option: have a single NiFi registry instance, and just have all of your NiFi environments using this NiFi registry. So you go into each NiFi instance, you go to the NiFi UI, and when you define your NiFi registry client in the UI, you can specify which NiFi registry to use, and you could use this single NiFi registry instance, which is actually what let's say what the community had in mind initially when building the NiFi registry, to have just one single instance shared across multiple environments, just like you would have one GitHub repository shared across multiple environments. However, we know that some users in the community, some companies, some users, customers I have using NiFi, they have specific requirements, and they need to have clear separation between each environment. So in this case, they can be in this second scenario where you have NiFi, and each NiFi has its own NiFi registry instance. And when you want to move flows from one environment to another, you need to import from one NiFi registry to another. That's really an option. This comes with some drawback, but this is an option. This is something you can do. I will actually share the link right now in the chat to this blog post that you can easily fit. So that's one thing. And actually, probably 1 year ago, I did a live webinar where I'm talking about this scenario where actually two data hub clusters are using the same NiFi registry instance. So basically, the I'm going to the NiFi UI for my dev cluster, and in NiFi, instead of using the NiFi registry instance here, I'm changing the let's say the NiFi registry clients in NiFi here to use the NiFi registry in production. So that's something I'm showing in this video that you can find here, and I will copy paste this in the chat here. So this video is 1 year old almost, and this is what I'm showing in this video, and how to use the NiFi registry to automatically promote flows from one environment to another. Okay, so in this short video, I want to explain another option, which is, I think, very interesting, and probably what should be done by users, especially when you are on this, let's say, this setup. So in this case, instead of having the NiFi registry use the default RDS instance and save the flow definitions and so on in this RDS instance, what I'm going to do is deploy my own RDS instance using Postgres as well, and configure the NiFi registry to use this RDS instance instead. So what are the advantages of doing this? First one is, well, since we are using the database backend, you can have multiple NiFi registry instances using the same database. This is not something you can do with the Git backend in the NiFi registry. You can't do that. You can't have multiple NiFi registry instances using the same Git repository as the backend. With a database, you can do it. So that's the first advantage. In this case, we have two data clusters with NiFi, one for dev, one for production, and both NiFi registries are going to be configured to use this RDS instance. That's the first advantage. Second advantage is persistence of data. Right now, if you are using the default setup with the NiFi registry using this RDS instance, you are going to shut down this, well, not just shut down, when you are going to delete this data hub cluster, the RDS instance is going to be removed and all the data with it. So in case you are in a very, let's say, dynamic setup where you create a lot of NiFi data hub clusters just for a short time to do some processing, some data movement, you stop it, you destroy it, and you create a new one, and so on. All of flows that you may version in the NiFi registry and in the local RDS instance will be lost, and that's not great, because obviously you want to have some cost optimization and just delete the data hub clusters for some period of time. So that's another advantage. This database that you can define, you can manage on your own, will be a really persistent store for your flow definitions over time. So that's really useful. So that's what I'm doing here. So just to go very quickly, again, this will be a short live, a short video that will be publishing on YouTube. So if I go to AWS, if I go to my database instances, we see here that I have my 4 RDS instances created by default with my setup. If we go back here, there is one for the data lake in dev, one for the data hub cluster in dev, one for the data lake in prod, and one for the data hub cluster in production. So that's 4 RDS instances created by default, and I'm adding my custom one. So just here, NiFi registry database, that's the one I'm adding. Very easy. I mean, you can go into create database. You can select Postgres. You can select which kind of, let's say, system you want, production or dev. You can change the version if you want. All versions of Postgres are supported, but I think I used Postgres 10 because that's what we use by default. You can give it a name, specify username, password, very important, and something you need to keep in mind, in addition to all of the hardware settings that you can choose, is here in additional configuration. There is a field here for initial database name, so that a database is going to be created initially when the instance is provisioned. That's something you want to set here. And I think something you may want to specify here is NiFi Registry here. But obviously you can specify whatever name you want, but that will be something important. So we can remove it. You can provision your instance, and you are good to go. That's it. So then what you need to make sure that everything is configured as expected in terms of network configuration and so on. So in my case, I created the database in its own VPC, took care of the VPC peering, the security groups, so that the database can be accessed by both NiFi registry instances. Nothing crazy, but something you need to take care of. Then very easy, you can go into your NiFi cluster dev data hub cluster. You can open the Cloudera Manager UI, which is here, and then I can go to my cluster. I can go directly to the NiFi registry service configuration. I can filter on database here, and just three properties I will need to change. First one here with the endpoint. So as you can see here, I'm using my custom database now. Here is the name of the initial database that I was mentioning before. So if you didn't use NiFi_registry, make sure to change it. And I didn't change the default port. And I need to change the username and password with whatever you defined when provisioning the database instance. And that's it. You can go to Cloudera Manager for production cluster. Here we are on the data hub cluster in production. You can go to Cloudera Manager UI and you can do the same configuration. So NiFi registry configuration, and you will set the same configuration. So you may wonder why do we need to do this after say the data hub clusters have been provisioned. That's a fair question. That's a very good question. And right now this is the only way. So meaning that you have to wait for the data hub cluster to be fully provisioned and started before you can go to Cloudera Manager and the change to remove this connection to the RDS instance and instead use your own custom RDS instance for both data hub clusters. In the very near future, probably in the next probably couple of months or something like that, when provisioning the data hub cluster, you will be able to specify properties that should be changed automatically for you while the hub cluster is provisioned. Which means that you wouldn't need to go in the same UI, CMUI and do the changes by yourself. All of this will be taken care of during the provisioning of data hub clusters. But that's something on the roadmap that the team is actively working on. This should be shortly available in CDP Public Cloud. But right now, you need to do it. Once you have updated the configuration in Cloudera Manager, you need to restart the NiFi registry service. And that's it. If I go to my NiFi registry instance here, we see that there is nothing, no buckets, nothing. I'm connected with my own identity. I can go to the administration view and I can create a bucket just before in the production NiFi registry. We can see here that's production. We can see the same, no buckets, nothing. So in dev, I'm going to create buckets. My first buckets here creates, and my bucket is available here. And if I go to my production cluster NiFi registry instance, if I refresh, I will see my bucket here as well. So my first bucket is available. There is no flow in it, and that's it. So now you can see that everything you are doing on one of the two sides is automatically available on the other side. So now let's do the NiFi UI. Let's drag drop a process group. My first flow. That's awesome. If you remember by default, if you go to the controller settings here and registry client, by default, when we provision a data hub cluster, we will be configuring the link to the NiFi registry out of the box for you. So this is what I meant when maybe another option for you would be to change this registry client to use another NiFi registry instance that you have somewhere else. Maybe the one in production, maybe even one that you are managing yourself. But in this case, we don't want to change this. We are not changing the NiFi to NiFi registry link. What we change is the NiFi registry to the database backend link. That's what we change. So okay, I have my first flow. Let's give it generate flow file, update attribute processor, just link the two together, and that's it. That's my first flow. I can right click on it, start version control. As you can see here, since I have only one bucket, it's automatically selecting my buckets. And here, my first flow. Okay, save, and we see here that the flow is versioned. That's great. If I go here, NiFi registry, I see my first flow here, version 1, no comments, but that's my flow. That's great. If I have the NiFi registry in production, same, I see my flow here now available. Same thing. If I go to my NiFi in production, well, actually, let me remove this. It's a leftover. So if I go to the NiFi registry in production, I don't have anything on the canvas. This is something from a previous test I was doing before starting the live session. Sorry about that. So I get to the NiFi UI. I don't have anything. As I said, by default, we are configuring the registry client to use the NiFi registry instance in prod. So that's configured for you out of the box. And here, if I drag and drop a process group, I can import from the registry and select my first flow version, import, and I have my flow here in production available. I can configure it and start it and so on. This is something we can fully automate if you want. That's something I'm talking about in the YouTube video that I was mentioning before. Okay, that's it. And now let's go back to my cluster in dev and add a funnel, connect the update attribute to it, just something random, just to create a new version, right-click version, sorry, refresh, okay, version, commit local changes. So I want to commit my local changes as a new version of my flow. So this is my new version with funnel. Okay, save, and okay, now I have here my flow, and we can see this version 2 my bucket. That's great. If I refresh here, we can see in the NiFi registry in dev that I have now 2 versions with my comments. That's me. And if I go in the NiFi registry in production and refresh, same, I will see the exact same thing here. Versions available. Now, if I go to the NiFi UI and I go one level up, we can see here. Sorry, here we can see here that it's telling me that a new version of the flow is available. So I can review the things here. I can see that there is a version 2, there is a comment, and I can choose to take this new version in production or just ignore it. And this is really up to you. So there is a concept of tag that we are thinking about, so that you could tag some flows, some version flows as production ready, and this will be something you use to automatically promote a flow from one environment to a production environment. Actually, that's something I'm talking about in the YouTube video where I'm using the comment field and I'm using a specific keyword like production ready in the comments, so that if the comment is including this keyword, I will automatically promote my flow in production. So this is really up to you. If you want to have something fully automated, or if you want to have something manual, when well, it's production, right? So in production, maybe you want someone to actually make the changes, but still you could use like production ready in the comments to let let's say, the operation team know that this flow is production ready, and this is safe to upgrade to this flow. So current version is 1, and I'm going to change to version 2. So this is changing my flow, stopping only what is required to be stopped, and that's it. If I open the, I have my changes, and that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today. As I said, it was a really short live session. I just wanted to talk about this, do a recording of the session, and publish this on my YouTube channel. Uh, that's I think I covered everything. Um, this is this is I think a good setup for users of CDP Public Cloud. Having this custom RDS instance, I think is a good approach uh, because it has many advantages, and especially if you have this multi-tenant setup in mind. I think this is really a good option. Even if you are multi-cloud or hybrid cloud with on-prem deployments, or I don't know, multi-cloud providers, having this database shared across your environments, I think makes a lot of sense. You can specify your requirements in terms of high availability of the database, backup snapshots, whatever you need. So I think this is really a great option in terms of deployments if you want to have something really resilient and meet data hub clusters for NiFi. And I will be doing another short video, short live session, just like today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow, just before Christmas, to talk about, let's say, automatic synchronization of your flow between NiFi Registry and the data flow catalog, which is a component used for deploying flows on NiFi on Kubernetes. So that's something I will be mentioning in the next live session. This is something I'm working on right now, and then once it's ready, I'll be showing it, sharing the scripts I'm working on right now with you, and publishing of this on Twitch and my YouTube channel. That's it for me. Hopefully, it was useful, something that you can also apply on your side. If you are not using Cloudera products and if you are just using Apache NiFi and NiFi Registry, that's also a very, very valid option in case you are using the database provider. Everything I'm talking about here is fully available in the open source solutions, nothing specific to Cloudera outside of, say, the CDP Public Cloud stuff. So if you are using open source NiFi Registry and you want to use the database backend provider for flow persistence, this is a setup you can consider. This is really using the database provider for everything in NiFi Registry is probably the best solution, and what I would be recommending to anyone. Um, I understand why some people are using the Git backend because this is nice and useful, and well, you can potentially plug some CI/CD pipelines with it. But when you are in a multi-tenant environment and when you want multiple NiFi registry instances, this is getting complicated. If you are in this situation where you have one NiFi registry instance shared across multiple environments, then using the Git backend is perfectly fine. But as you have multiple NiFi registry instances, really, I highly recommend to use the database backend. That's it for me. Thanks for watching this video, and see you soon. Thank you.